When you come to work with an interior designer, the first question we're going to ask you is, what style do you like? What are you trying to achieve in this space? Most of the time, the client is not going to know what the different styles are, which is normal if it's not your job. So in this video, I'm going to give you general guidelines to help you out with that question. Let's get into some interior design culture. So we're not going to talk about the modern style and the traditional style. Hopefully you know what these are. If you don't, shoot me an email. So first style is transitional. If you think traditional decor is too heavy and modern decor is too cold, you can choose a mix of both. So it's going to be transitional style because you're doing a transitional from the traditional style to the modern style. You're merging pieces from different eras. The traditional aspects can be, for example, the structure of the apartments, so a wall with moldings, but you're going to paint it to give it a more modern look. You can have clean line furniture, which is going to be modern, but you're going to place it on parquet, which is more typical of traditional homes. Or the opposite, you're going to have a modern apartment in a modern building, but you're going to place antique furnishings in it. The advantages of this style is that it gives you a broader range to choose your items from. And it meets in the middle if the homeowners don't agree on one style. The disadvantages of this style is that you have to be vigilant to combine elements that go together, so it doesn't look like you moved an entire antique store in a super modern New York loft. Our second style is industrial. So the industrial style is inspired by warehouses and old factories. So the typical industrial architecture would be a Brooklyn loft, meaning an open layout with brick walls, exposed piping, and light bulbs hanging from the ceiling. But you can also live in a regular space and achieve that look just with the decor. In that case, you're going to use reclaimed elements to create an unfinished look, typically worn out metal, metallic lamps, and sharp edges. The colors are going to be earth tones, so dark reds, browns, beiges, and taupe, which is a mix between beige and gray. The advantages of this style is that the reclaimed items and the minimalism of the look can make you save money. The challenge, though, is to make it comfortable because it can get pretty cold with the brick, the metal, and the concrete. So you want to bring warmth and go towards metals that are going to be more brass colors rather than all silver, and add rugs and plush materials. Number 3. So the Boho style, or Bohemian, which in French we called Bobo, from bourgeois bohème. To achieve that look in your home, you want to reflect your taste for travel and multiculturalism. Let nature influence your choices with natural textures, vivid colors, patterns, and plants. You're going to prefer the fluidity of coziness rather than the minimal tidiness. The furniture is going to be composed of items collected during your trips abroad or secondhand vintage pieces. The advantages of this style are that there's less rules than in all the other styles we're going to see. The coordination of the elements isn't as important. What is the essential is that each piece that you bring to your space has a story. So where and how it got from its creation to your space. The disadvantages of this space are that you have to make sure your creativity doesn't go in every direction out of hand. Otherwise, your home is going to look like a messy jungle. Number 4, Scandinavian. So Scandinavian design comes from the decor you typically find in Sweden, Denmark, and Norway. It is the symbol of coziness with the northern hygge, H-Y-G-G-E, movement, which is the art of feeling warm and cozy at home, especially when it's cold outside. So nature, again, here is the main source of inspiration, but in a different way than boho, because you're going to have loads of wood and eco-friendly materials. The colors are going to be more neutral than boho, and you bring warmth through textures such as sheepskin and thick materials. The warm lighting in the house balances the light tones of the decor elements. So the advantages of this style is that it's universally popular. Everyone is pleased with this style because it's neutral, it's simple, and it has clean lines. Look at the worldwide success of IKEA. The disadvantages of this style is that since it's a style that comes from a country where it's dark outside most of the year, they try to compensate the outside darkness with light tones. So it's white with white details and a little bit of white accents. So you got it. It can be bland, especially if you're like me and you like color. Number 5, rustic. So rustic is inspired by a house in the woods, typically a cabin upstate New York with exposed beams. It's rough around the edges and unpretentious. You can bring that feel in your city apartment as well. I actually finished a project recently where my client wanted to bring ruggedness to his very bourgeois neighborhood in New York. So I added aged and unfinished wood elements, leather furniture that had patina. The typical decorative items would be baskets, ladders, etc. So this style is great because it feels very authentic and it's full of character. The inconvenient is that it's quite masculine and heavy. For example, in the dining room, you're going to have a thick table with large, solid wooden legs. So if you live with someone who wants something a little bit more sophisticated or who is more on the feminine side, it might not work too well. Number 6, so to compensate the rustic, earthy feel of the style I just mentioned, now we're going to go into the light, breezy, and airy style that is coastal. So coastal is a style that would be found in a house by the beach, like the Hamptons, and it's inspired by natural elements that you would find on the beach. So it's going to be a white background or beige with accents of blue and green to remind you of the sea or more the ocean if you're in the Hamptons, and touches of gold to remind you of the sun and the sand. It doesn't have to be, again, a house by the water. You can recreate that look in your New York apartment. The materials are going to be knitted fabrics, linen, and light wood, typically the decor you would find on a boat. The accessories would be symbols of a boat, so knots or an anchor symbol, shells, jars with sand in it, etc. The advantages is that it's a look that is easy to put together. There's very, very few colors, and it gives you the impression of being on vacation all year round. The disadvantages is do not overdo it, otherwise it's going to look like a themed children's park.